You can learn so much when you evaluate a party or an event that you've just had. This will help you recognize any hiccups or things you want to do differently or things that worked well for you, so the next time you go to host, it's easier. I'm Jocelyn, and I'm a mommy, and I'm her oldest daughter.
And I'm Julia. I'm the mama, and I'm also a grandmama. So we recently had some relatives come in from out of state, also relatives in this area. And what we practice is there's a certain Sunday prior to the two major holidays that we talk about, that are Thanksgiving and Christmas. We pick a certain date and everybody comes together for a meal in our area. And you and I execute this gathering, and we all have a big time, don't we?
Yes.
And so we are going to be evaluating that. And the first question I have is, what worked? And I would say one of the things that really worked that we had not done before with our families is basically it's like a make your own taco salad, but instead of the taco shells or soft tacos, there's like Fritos, or there's
Crushed up
tortilla chips or something, but there's the meat and the different veggies and the cheese and
lettuce,
sour cream and salsa and things like that, and they make their own, and that way it really worked well. I didn't know if it would, but it worked well, especially since we added just a couple of other veggies, raw veggies that the littles liked, and so the parents were able to custom do the plates for the littles. So that was one thing that worked. Was there anything else you can think of that worked?
Well, I think on the thought of the menu, it was really easy to chop the onions in advance. Get the corn ready, get the beans ready, things like that. It made it very easy to transport to the space.
Yes, we had to transport everything to a party space.
And it did have a refrigerator, so it was nice to be able to get all that prepped in advance. So the day of was not, we had it already pre-done, so the day of you just pop lids off and put it in the serving
and had
dishes.
the meat in a crock pot.
Meat was in a crock pot, and it was also budget friendly. Things like the taco meat, that was probably the biggest of all the expenses, but lettuce, canned corn, canned beans.
If you were in a situation and you knew somebody who hunted and they had a whole lot of ground venison in their freezer, you could use that.
That's right. So I feel like those were good points about the menu, and then also the decor was something that worked really well.
We altered it just a little bit. Now I fought with myself about this.
She loves to decorate for parties, so it was hard to decide.
And I would go to the store and I'd start to buy things. And I was trying to decide whether or not to decorate Mexican style to go with the menu, which I certainly could have done. But because it was right before Thanksgiving, I chose to do Thanksgiving, and something that's very cost effective, very easy to transport, and worked really well, especially being littles in the room also, was little honeycomb characters of a turkey and a pilgrim and an Indian and so forth, and putting them along the food bar or around the room. And was there anything else that worked really well that you...
We also did helium balloons. That worked well. We blew them up the day of. So that was an easy, fun ad for the kids.
The balloons is something that we tested. We have done enough ballooning, not that we are balloon experts, but we've tried a couple of different
columns, some arches,
styles of arches and things like that. And sometimes we've done them like 2 or 3 months in advance in my basement to see how long are they going to last, how are they going to look, how high does it need to be in that thing. Well, we decided not to go to all that trouble because that takes us a while. Since we don't do it all the time, it takes us a while. So we instead chose to do, the ceiling was really tall in this space. And ordinarily I would just do a lower conversation-friendly centerpiece, but because the ceiling is so tall, we needed something tall. So we chose to do 5 helium balloons tied to a base. And so we were able to get into the space the day before, and so we put the base and we cut the curling ribbon for the strings. And we chose, because we hadn't really worked with helium a lot, but had had some experience with it, and didn't know if we set the thermostat to the temperature we wanted for the room, and it sat overnight, would these balloons stay inflated?
Right, and this would be in the category of what didn't work as opposed to what worked. But what didn't work was...
But we tested it.
Right.
So what we chose to do was we inflated one balloon and to see if it was going to work.
It was going to work, and then because we actually had another party in that same space soon after that, and so we wanted to know for that party as well. But we inflated one, and the next morning we get there and it's down, and it sunk down. So like, okay, so that's a day of thing.
We are glad that we did not do all the balloons and then go, oh no. So we were kind of prepared that we may need to do some helium there, and we just rented one of those little tabletop tanks and used that, and it worked pretty well. It did. Okay. And so let's see, we got us another question here in front of us here. What would you do differently next time?
Well, one of the things we ran across was the facility that we rented had its own private bathroom area and kitchen area, which was very nice. But we did not test. We made sure that the paper towels and the soap dispensers had supplies in them, but we did not test all of them. And so when the day came, the ladies' restroom paper towel machine was jammed, and so we weren't able to use paper towels out of it.
But we didn't catch it.
Right, we didn't test it. So doing something differently next time, there was test them all, make sure it's working.
Well, we knew from experience to check the machines. Is there paper in the machines? Is there soap in the machines? We did know that, and I'm glad we went in the day early that they allowed us to, because even though they are a pretty clean facility and people do go in and clean, it was not clean enough. And I say that because we like things very clean. It makes a difference for your guests. And also, one of my relatives in particular would have really noticed. So we went in early and I deep cleaned the bathrooms and made sure the kitchen counters were all sanitary and that the refrigerator looked neat and clean inside and things like that. Just made sure that everything was clean and the floor was very vacuumed, that anything that had been tracked in was taken care of.
Another thing that we would do differently next time has to do with the menu. We had gotten pies from a local place, and we got 5 different flavors. It was a lot of pie for the amount of guests we had, but it was delicious. But what we would do is we noticed which pies people liked the most and ate the most of, and so the next time we would probably double up on those and maybe not order the ones that people didn't care for.
And it seems like our family members liked pecan pie the most.
Which really surprised us, but from that particular bakery, that was the most popular pie for our group.
Yes, it was. It's a shame we couldn't have tried all those pies in advance.
Yes.
But anyway, that's the way we did it. And ordinarily, that's something we haven't been doing, is buying pre-made pies. But we chose to do it that way because one of the family members said, we really want you to be more present.
Get to relax more, enjoy the day more.
And not have to be, I'll put it in my words, not have to be ragged out from doing so much. And although we did a lot, and it still took a lot of time, it was much less work than some things we've done.
Yeah. So it was very kind of them to
And then we have a question here in front of us. What should be repeated exactly the same next time?
Well, I would definitely say going in the day before if you possibly can. Now, not all facilities will let you do that, without an extra expense.
I would say if you can't go in the day before, see if there's any way. I would believe God for favor. See if there's any way you can get in a couple of hours earlier than normal or something.
And you might think your party's only going to take you, it'll only take me an hour to set up or 2 hours to set up.
Allow more.
Usually I would say almost double what you think it's going to take because something might happen.
Now, here's the tricky part is that many of the places that you rent say you can have it for 4 hours for this price.
Right.
And you have to have a little time at the end for cleanup. And seems like most of our events last about They wind up really being about an hour and a half, don't you think?
Once the party
Once
starts,
they start,
yeah.
and then about a half hour for cleanup if you're organized in your cleanup. Because not everybody, but quite a few will jump in and help.
Yeah.
They just want to help. And we let them.
It depends on how big your space is too. This was a pretty big space.
So if you allow yourself an hour and a half to 2 hours in advance. And I know one of your sisters, when she does a party, she really likes to have a babysitter watch her kids for the setup time.
Yeah.
She prefers that so that she's not distracted.
Yeah. That really would help.
Yeah, that helped a lot.
Yeah.
So we would do that. We'd make sure we did that, go in a day before. Was there anything else you could think of?
I think doing an easy menu like we did, I mean, we might do a different menu, but doing a low hassle menu like that would definitely be a good thing to repeat.
I know I entertained quite a bit whether or not to do like 2 crock pots full of 2 different kinds of soups and have some loaves of sliced bread and then a veggie tray and some cookies or simple dessert. Something tasty, but something low
hassle.
Low hassle.
So that the hostess can enjoy herself, especially when it's a family gathering like that, where everybody wants you to sit down and talk with them.
Does anybody remember that old commercial? I think it was for Final Net hairspray, and they'd show the hostess, and she'd be looking, but her hair looked good, and so. If you can't enjoy yourself, you're a big element as the hostess to how things go. If you're cheerful and you're welcoming and you're showing hospitality from your heart, you're serving people, you're engaging in conversation, then everybody has a really good time. If you're sitting over there going,
I am so exhausted,
I cannot wait.
You're running around yelling at everybody.
yeah, then people don't have a good time.
Yeah, not the best experience.
They have a much better time when you're a cheerful hostess. So make it a little easier on yourself. Because isn't getting together and sharing love with one another the big deal of the day? It is much more important than a fancy schmancy something. And I have a scripture here. I'm going to read it off this paper. It says, Colossians 3:23 and 24. Whatever you do, do heartily as unto the Lord and not unto men, knowing that from the Lord you shall receive the recompense of the inheritance you serve the Lord Christ. In other words, when you're getting ready for this party, when you're thinking about what to do, when you're actually doing it, at the party and then after the party, check your heart and make sure that you're doing things as unto the Lord and not to be seen of people to think you're just really something high and mighty, but that you're doing it as if you're serving the Lord Jesus himself, even if they just spilled something and you got to bend over and clean it up or whatever. Make sure it's from your heart. If you enjoyed learning hospitality from the heart, subscribe and follow for more.